What up, everybody? I am here with the latest person voted out, player number 6 voted out, I believe, of the season. How's it going, Mike?
You know, it's going good. Can't complain.
You've dressed for the occasion tonight. What's
Dress
the
for the
occasion?
occasion. You know, I'm applying for the job of Trader Hunter. I thought I had to look. I dressed for the job I want, not the job that I had.
Well, I think you earned the resume in the last episode at the very least.
Yeah.
Well,
Did I though? Because it didn't. It didn't seem to work too well.
Well, I need to circle back to the very beginning of
Yeah.
the season. Coming into the season, you saw some returnees in the game. We might as well start with Dot because you had to start the game with Dot being hard against you.
Of course.
Y'all worked it out eventually, but how
Mhm.
did it feel seeing Dot?
You know, I really just thought if he's a traitor, it's been a real short go, and that's okay. And then when I didn't die, I really genuinely, for the rest of the game, was like, okay, cool, Dot's not a traitor. And so I actually was, in the end, happy to see Dot. I'm not gonna act like on first impressions I was like ecstatic. I think there was that confessional where I said, "Oh my god, Jason's here. That's cool, and Dar's here. Yeah, that's cool." And then like dead stop.
Did you, before watching it back, did you realize he was so hard against you at the very beginning?
No, I figured he was casting a little bit of things because I mean it's Dot, right? That's kind of what he does. But I did not know the extent of it. And it's a good thing I didn't know the extent of it because I can get a little defensive. So I think it worked out. If people had pushed that narrative harder, if any traitor had taken that up and been like really turning us against each other, that could have been ugly.
Now something you actually were not very defensive about during the gameplay, I don't think, was Drea, who thought
Yeah,
she walked in on you talking about the 4 or 5 people that you
yeah,
like, and there happened to be 4 or 5 people in the chat at the time, but you were talking about the 4 or 5 sports teams that you
I
like.
was.
You had no idea what she walked in on, what she was even talking about the
I
whole
did not.
time. Watching that back, how did you like you
That was
maneuvering through
so
that?
funny. I legitimately, through the game, had no idea what that was all about. And by the end of it, had kind of forgotten about it. So when the episode finally aired, and I like literally watched it, the episode, well, not live, but like straight through, and I still didn't really get it. I literally had to go back and rewatch the scene and go, oh my God, I was talking about sports teams. Literally, it was talking about the same 4 or 5 sports teams. Oh, that was so funny. You can't make that up. She just walks in on that,
Yeah,
and
I
it turns
know.
into a whole thing. And like she doesn't remember exactly what she heard. She changed the wording like 5 times. If she had literally had the wording exactly right, I might have been able to be like, "Oh, was there sports teams?" But it's such an offhand comment for me that I'm literally just like shooting the crap with people
Yeah, I know.
because I'm just trying to get to like know people a little bit. Like I don't even know if the traders have been selected yet. I think they had, but like I didn't know. I was just trying to be friendly, and she comes in and is like, "He's out here strategizing, making alliances," and I'm like, "I wish."
So Dot ran with that, and then Amy was a part of that conversation as well, where you thought Dre was joking. How did you feel about playing with Amy? It seemed like you really liked her.
I
She was a
really
little
liked
torn
Amy.
between you and Dot for a second, but
Yeah, I mean, I can't blame her. Like everyone said, like if 6 people are saying Mike was saying some things about alliances, like you'd kind of be a little dumb not to believe them. It turned out not to be the case, but I can't blame her for that. And I wouldn't even say I was surprised by that because I knew it was a topic of conversation. People are fine to discuss whatever in things. She never seemed to like betray me or vote against me or anything. So like whatever. I think she was arriving at the right conclusion towards the end, and then she got murdered. Um,
so the first returning that you first walked in on, and it was quite a story throughout the rest of the season so far, which we'll get to later. But you walk in, see Jason.
yeah,
What did you expect from Jason?
I expected Jason to be Jason. I mean, he was the exact way I expected him to be. And like I referenced multiple times through the game where there was a part where I thought he was a traitor, there's a part where I realized he or thought he wasn't. And I at times I'm like, this guy's my number one ally. Like we're in it together. And I legit thought that. And my motivations in that were obviously maybe a little selfish in the game about finding traitors, but my theory was good. I just had the wrong person.
Now, I don't want to get to too much Jason yet, but
Yeah.
you had this interesting dynamic where at the beginning of the game you think Jason is a traitor and you're getting really, really close to him. And then on the other side, you really, really don't think Al is a traitor and she ends up being a traitor.
Yes.
And you get really close to her. And then you
Yes.
three also kind of seem to have this trio
Yeah.
forming. What
we
was
just
the dynamics there?
we just kind of happened, I think, end up in the backyard chat, sort of saving our time because there's like a whole time saving mechanic, and you got to decide when you're in there and what you're doing. But I thought that I thought it was Jason, and I just thought Elle was a faithful, like a big fan, and I knew I could use that because she said she'd seen the series, so I kind of knew she knew what I was like. So she wasn't going to be like, oh, we got to get Mike out because he talks so much. Like she just knows that's the way that I am. It's the way Jason is too, And I'll say this now since we brought up Elle, and I obviously couldn't say this in the comments, but I really wanted to on the first episode. Like when Elle was revealed as a traitor, my jaw literally dropped. Like I had all the time from getting voted out till the season aired to think it through, to just kind of like mull it over every once in a while whenever I wanted to think about it. And like, no, it legit did not cross my mind. So I did the Jason strategy completely unintentionally. And unless something happened, I don't know if my mind ever would have changed on Elle because I'm stubborn and I was like so sure that she was just a faithful and that we were on the same wavelength. So that was like, she obviously was up there, like probably she was either my closest ally or my second closest ally, depending on how you look at Jason at various towards the end there.
Oh, well, towards the end there, I would say it must have been Elle that was.
Oh yeah, I mean Elle did not vote me out on like my other closest ally.
So yeah, no point during the season you were suspecting Elle.
Genuinely no point in the season. Like Drea literally calls out girl bangs, and I just like completely disregard that. And there's a moment I saw in the episode where when Elle talks about not talking much with Ashley, and I kind of do like a face and I like think about it, and then I just like disregard it. Like I can't be her. Like I think you zoom in on like my reaction, and I was thinking about that, and I'm like, the verbiage that Elle used to me was so different from what Dar said. Elle was like, I didn't talk to her much. And I knew some of the chats that Elle had, and they weren't with her. So I like, doesn't talk to her much? Sure. There were people that I had at that point. One, maybe there was even still people I'd had zero with. I think the last person that I'd had a one-on-one with was like Dar. Or if I never got one with Raven, that might have happened. But we had the interrogator thing, so we kind of had that going on. But like, it was believable that they hadn't talked much. She didn't say, I never talked to Ashley. That might have been enough to set alarm bells. But that wasn't what she said. So I just like wasn't worried about it. I really wasn't. I'm not going to claim, oh, in the back of my head, I knew. Nope. I got snowed on that one.
When Elle voted for Lauren, when everybody else was going against Amancio, I assume you were one of the many that just respected her.
So brave for voting your conscience and not just following the pack. It was good. Like if I was a traitor and everybody was ganging up on the quietest person and it wasn't me or a fellow traitor, I'd get on that train in a heartbeat. I would have been loud about it because again, I wouldn't be playing any different, but I would have been on that train. And the fact that she wasn't on that train, like to me, was like a risk that a traitor wouldn't take. I think it was good that she did, and it was smart that she did. But again, it only registered as a faithful thing to me.
What was it like watching back Ashley as a traitor? And did you ever truly suspect her either?
I mean, I don't think it's fair to say that I truly suspected her. I'd love to claim, like Jason has, that I truly suspected her. But in the reality is the only time I ever considered voting her was that she had brought my name up. And it was like purely a defensive mechanism of I have nothing better. I'm just gonna say we'll get rid of the person who brought my name up and Jason's name up, who at this time I thought was like my number one ally, who's a traitor, and I don't want him getting voted out because then they're just gonna murder me. Was my thought process. So no, I don't think I ever truly suspected her. I did bring her briefly up, I think maybe to Jason, but like it literally was just a like defensive thing.
So let's talk about. We have to talk about Drea. What is first of all, what is it like playing with Drea? And in that round where she's suspecting it's you, Dot, Jason, all the returnees have to be the traitors, but not Dar. What's it like playing with Drea? How was that round?
She is so ridiculous. Oh, and I think this has been brought up on the podcast, but she really is the type of player that is just so supremely frustrating to play against, but is so entertaining to watch. And like when I was targeting her, I had no idea what she was doing. It was not outside the realm of possibility to me that she was a traitor who just didn't understand subtlety. Because like that's possible. Like is it smart for a traitor to be as like horribly messy as she just was that round? No. But like she might not have ever watched the Traitors, you know? Like you can't just assume everyone's playing an optimal game. That's what I did like season 1. I'm like, why is everyone not making the optimal decision? That's just, you know,
I
so I'm
forgot
just like
that was your whole
yeah.
person.
So like maybe she was. And so for that, I just kind of like I'm just like I can't deal with this anymore. But then obviously the result of that vote happened and my mind just like she was just not on my radar, as you saw.
Going back to the Amancio vote where you all voted out the quiet people, do you think that hindered you in trying to vote out Dar in this latest round?
Oh
Because
my god,
everyone's saying we're going after the quiet
absolutely.
people.
Absolutely. And anytime someone brought that up to me that round, I said, I am not voting Dar because he's quiet. And that sentence just seems to have gone in one ear and out the other. He must just still hate the quiet people. He really just hates the quiet people. He's just going to go down the list of the most quiet people one by one. But it did end up hindering us. But at the time, there was nothing else to go off of. I mean, if I had tried to spin it on, let's just say Ashley, because I knew she had my name out there, I don't think I would have been able to rally the votes at that stage of the game to do anything else. I also was a little in the mix, and I didn't want to get voted out first. And again, same thing with Dot. Let's just say to make it, whatever, like another faithful. Like if it ends up in Dot and me in round 1 with this cast, I think I'm first voted out of the game. Like Jason, was that the round Jason had brought up Lori? And I was like, Lori?
Yeah, that is.
And I'm like, if it's a Lori versus me, I'm going out. Like I'm aware of roughly where I think most people thought of me at that point. And so like trying to really, really traitor hunt off of like little tiny vibes that I probably would have been wrong on, because the only person at this time I thought was a traitor was Jason and maybe Raven. If I had tried to like hunt a traitor around 1, I probably would have failed, maybe would have got voted out and whatever. So like for me, that was I still stand by that as the right thing to do.
So when Ashley unfortunately didn't show up and had to leave the game via the rules, that changed the game a lot.
Oh yeah.
And that's what put you off of Jason and maybe even Raven and on to Dar.
Yep. And I agree with the people on the podcast who were saying that it was like kind of, I think it was Meg, was like, it's kind of a little unfair way to get information. It kind of is. We didn't really earn it, and it sucks that she had to go out that way. But at the same time, it was just going to be a stomp for the Traitors. Like it was just going to, those 3, maybe one of them would get caught towards the end by happenstance. It was just going to be a stomp. And we would have been just picked off. Because I mean, I imagine Lauren is like, the seeds for that were already planted by Elle. She's still going to be caught in the crossfire. I'm still going to draw attention. I'm never not going to draw attention. And that's if I wasn't just going to get voted out over Drea anyways. It was going to be probably me or Drea, almost certainly. Maybe, I don't remember if Lauren was seriously being considered that round. But like a faithful was going to go at the vote. If Ashley had been there, I can't imagine she's going to do anything to change a faithful going. And there would have been a murder. And God knows how far down we would have been at that point. I had really thought at the time there were two. That there had been two. So I wasn't like super duper like, oh my God, we're going to lose. But like knowing now that there were three, it was like, oh my God, we were this close to just losing on the spot, honestly.
Do you wish they would have recruited you? Obviously.
Absolutely. I would have won that game. I believe that. I think maybe they just vote me out as a sacrificial lamb because, again, they were playing so well. And I wouldn't have turned on them because, like, it's a team game. There's not a prize pool that I need to, like, get rid of them to, like, lower it. Like, I would have had no reason to go after Dar at that point. Maybe I would have gone after whoever, but, like, I would not have gone after him. And three people voting together as a block, I don't think, took that into their consideration at all. They were too afraid people were going to say no. Which, I mean, I think there are people on this cast that would have said no, but just like pick someone that would say yes.
Not enough. Yeah.
No, there's a few, but not enough. And I certainly would have said yes. And really, they should have known that. Like, let's be for real. They should have been able to figure that out. They both knew who I am if they wanted to find out, you know.
Were you ever completely off of Raven as a traitor, especially after Lauren always kept? What did you think of Lauren always putting the spotlight on Raven?
You know, I thought Lauren was pretty wrong. I'll just say this about Raven. I don't necessarily think that we were ever very close. But to me, I had a big piece of evidence that Ashley had targeted her straight up day one of the game. And once I knew that information, I didn't think that she was a traitor. At least I thought the odds were pretty strongly against it.
What was it like playing with both Anthony and Lori, and what did you think of their interrogations this last round?
Oh, goodness. You know, it was not the approach I would have taken. And I maybe would have listened a little more to evidence. I like to think that if they had brought up evidence that I thought genuinely supported it, but like, what was their evidence on Lauren that she was defensive and was targeting Raven?
I think it was that she didn't want to work in a team, allegedly, even though it was kind of
okay. Yes, exactly thank you. It was the team thing, and oh my God, like, yeah, like what? And her explanation of she felt like the team didn't have her back was like totally valid. The team did not have her back for the most part. I'll just say, the one question that really bothered me from their interrogation was they asked, or maybe this was at the round table, but it was a question I'm pretty sure was asked by Anthony, and it was like, give me a reason to vote Dar that doesn't have anything to do with Ashley. And I'm like, okay, disregard like the biggest piece of evidence and the only evidence we surely have other than our own roles.
Fair point.
That is like a crazy thing to ask. Like, what did you want me to be like? Oh, I read it in the tea leaves. He's a traitor, guys. Come on.
That might have worked on Raven. Maybe you should have tried that.
I should. I mean, really, if I thought about it, like, was there anything that I could have done that round differently? I maybe could have spent more time on Raven. If I had a one-on-one with Raven, I might have been able to convince her. I didn't get it that round. I didn't get much time with her in the backyard where she wasn't like being yelled at by Lauren or whatever. So it never happened. And I think that's the only, I mean, maybe Drea too, but Logic and Drea, I don't know.
Yeah, you and Drea are like oil and water, I fear. For some reason, at least on a game level.
If you see my face, though, I was shocked that she voted me. Like that's the thing is, I thought we were good. I told her, and I publicly said multiple times, like, guys, I don't think Drea is a traitor. And like, regardless of my role, if someone is saying publicly, like multiple times, like, no, this person's a faithful, man, I'm not gonna vote them.
When you came out and said, vote me safe this round because I have a plan, do you think people looked at that too closely? And maybe,
I guess what I should
explain that it was Dar, but I don't know.
What I should have done is said, vote me safe. I think I am certain of one of the traitors. Because plan, I guess, to these people it requires like a multi-step analysis or something.
They were
Because to
thinking like
me,
Anthony's plan with Lori to let's.
yeah, to me, correctly identifying a traitor based on like the only evidence that I have is a plan. That's a plan. The plan is vote out this person that I think is a traitor and find out if they're a traitor. Like I don't, and I explain that I think when people ask me about it, but like there were people all the time, and I think Lori said this like 3 times when people would ask, "Did he ever say what his plan was?" And she's like, "Nope." And this is after I had told her that Dar is a traitor. Like this is because she and Lauren were the first people that got that news from me. And I really should have said, I guess, that I know who a traitor is. I'm almost certain. I don't know. And again, I didn't actually feel like I needed the safety votes. What I needed was the traitors to be too afraid to murder me. I needed them to not want to murder me,
Yeah.
just in case people listen to me. Like, I didn't actually care if a single person voted me safe. I'm sorry Lori felt betrayed by voting me safe and me not having a master plan. I should have brought out a crystal ball and said, I've discerned from the spirits the identity, and this is what we have to do for the next 3 rounds. You know,
Maybe that would have worked. I don't know.
oh, goodness gracious, I don't know.
Did you realize that Anthony was so gung-ho against you that round before your
No,
interrogation?
no, I did not. That was one of the things that did surprise me. I knew I was on his radar because everyone other than me seemed to treat the interrogations like, you guys are suspicious, rather than like, dude, you just get 3 extra chats, you know? And I knew I was on their radar, but I felt like my explanations were good and rooted in logic, so I really wasn't worried about it. And I'll say this too. I don't know if you're going to get to the vote or whatever, but like,
That's what I was going to do next anyway.
Okay, well, all right, go ahead.
Well, speaking of the vote, at the round table, like, where did you think Jason was going? Like, that's my biggest question. Where did you see Jason this round?
Yeah,
because I genuinely think he was between you and Dar, and then, but he also had the thing the night before where Anthony and Lori told him, "We're voting for Mike. That's going to be the plan."
I mean, if you listen to his speech, and if you watch my reactions at the same time too, if you're so inclined, the way he was talking in the moment made me think he was going to vote Lauren, and we were about to see a tie between me and somebody that I believed was a faithful. And I that would have been almost more irritating than just being voted out, to be honest with you. It's just if Lauren had been voted out there and I had to spend the entire round going, are you kidding me? Like I would have lost my cool probably more than like I was shocked when I was genuinely shocked when he voted me. Like even in the backyard immediately prior to the vote, he was like, "Thank you for bringing this thought information to me. Like that's a great thing to know. I think we should bring that up at the round table or something to that effect." And like, and I say this in my immediately following exit interview. I think he legitimately just was mad that I said something negative about him on the podcast. Maybe I was when I watched, I was hopeful to get more explanation from any of the 3 faithful that voted me, and I still don't really understand it. So yeah.
So this is just speculation.
Yeah.
It's not a spoiler. I don't even know if you will get the answers that you need.
Yeah.
Do you think that Lauren coming in saying, "Well, Mike just told me this about you, Jason," do you think that was the nail in the coffin of voting you over Dar?
I probably had something to do with it. I don't even remember what I said, but like it certainly I don't think was meant.
I mean, it was accurate. Jason threw out Lauren's name, and Lauren never said anything about Al. It was Raven that's been bringing up Al's name, not Lauren.
Yeah, I didn't share any information all game with the intent to hurt Jason. And I'll also note that he was like upset that I wanted him to be an interrogator. Like, dude, that's a show of like trust. I gave you 3 extra chats, valuable currency in this game. And like he's like, is Mike trying to put a target on my back? I just don't think he ever really trusted me, which is fine. It's a game built on distrust, but like And it's really, really easy to say, well, I'm so obviously faithful, dude. But like to play, you know, devil's advocate for him a tiny bit, like if I was a traitor, he would look like a real dummy if he kept sticking by me.
Yeah, I feel like it's ironic. I feel like you started the game really thinking Jason was a traitor, and over time you realize
Hmm.
he's probably not. I think Jason started off, oh, Mike would be too obvious of a traitor, and as the
Yeah,
game went along, I think he more and more thought you could be the traitor for some
yeah.
reason.
I mean, it's fair. Like I've said, I really wouldn't play the game any differently. Um, but like maybe vote out Dar, and if he's a faithful, then by all means fire every shot everybody has at me. But we never got that far, uh, you know. And gosh, what was it? I lost my train of thought, but there was um, something else that he.
That he said or
Oh,
did.
oh yes, after the vote, the whole thing after the vote blew my mind because I didn't know what happened after I was voted off. My expectation was everybody just kind of being like, "Oh my god, we effed up." Maybe what he said was true. And again, I'm going to play devil's advocate really quick. I'm going to give people a little bit of a pass on what they said immediately after the vote because the traitors are sitting right there, and I wouldn't want to get murdered. But if Jason spends the next episode after saying, I've said all game, one of the returnees has to be a traitor. It has to be one of us. And there's only him and Dar left. And if he doesn't go for Dar here, I don't know what to say. I can't defend you anymore. I
This was
can't
a
do it.
point of contention on the podcast, which I
Yeah.
recorded before you could watch it.
Yeah.
I mean, I said during the podcast that, yeah, like immediately after the vote, he
Yeah.
can't be like, well, I think it's Dart now.
It's not, that would be insane. He could ask for safety votes and hope that they'd be too afraid to try to murder him like I did. But like, I don't blame him for doing that. If he doesn't get murdered and he doesn't go for Dar, then I'm gonna blame him. But like, if he just said that to avoid it and then he goes, because his one confessional we got wasn't super clear. If he is legitimately just, oh my god, I messed up. I still think it's one of the returnees. It has to be Dar. Like, good for you, man. Get Dar out. Like, you know. But like, I don't know. I think he's this mad at Lauren. I don't know if he's gonna. Maybe he'll get time to cool off and be less defensive because like he was defensive about Drea and he didn't keep going for Drea. He has this issue with Lori for no reason. He didn't keep going for Lori. Like he's capable of changing his targets. I just fell under his ire like randomly little too fast, and there wasn't time for him to cool off and
True.
realize that no, I was actually a really good ally to you, dude, the whole game.
So, my question on the podcast about your vote, and my question to you now is: did you ever, during this vote, during the roundtable, did you feel like you were getting people on your side about Dar, or did you feel like maybe things are going towards me, Lauren? Did you ever think about changing your vote on Lauren to save your own
No, I would
rights?
not have voted Lauren. I don't care if it was like if I knew where everyone was voting and I knew the only way to not lose was to vote Lauren, I still wouldn't do it. It's just to me like I'm not gonna do that because what's my path forward in the game there? I was fairly certain Lauren was not a traitor, and I was right, and I was fairly certain that Dar was. I'm not going to vote a faithful in this type of a situation after having played my hand just to save my skin because at that point, whoever is going to believe me for the rest of this game,
Yeah,
I would
fair
be
point.
a dead man walking. I might have one more episode of getting into the fray of it, but like essentially the game is over for me at that point.
So now that you're out of the game, you've been voted out. Looking at the table, how do you think Dar's going to react to Al voting for him? And do you think that could be bad for the traders? And where do you think your clueless fellow faithful can go from here?
So I will say, I think Um, I think they'll be okay. I don't think the traders are going to fully turn on each other. There was a chat they had where they agreed to vote for each other if they thought it would lead to them going out to hide themselves. Now, again, Dar has shown a lot of defensive behaviors. He might not be completely logical in this, but I think Elle's a good enough player that regardless of what, like, she'll be able to calm Dar down and Dar will be cool with it. Because like Dar doesn't like if Dar's personality totally changes and he starts randomly going for L, I don't know that that's going to do well for either of their games. And I think he's smart enough to realize that. I do. As for the whole state of the game, I'm sorry. I said this like right after I was voted out too. And my mind has not changed. This is a Traitors win, especially now knowing that one of them is L, who I have like watched. I've watched her game and I have a ton of respect for her game. I just don't see a world in which, like, legitimately look at the faithfuls. I just don't see a world where they get together to do what's right. I mean, I hope I'm wrong because that was the team I was on, and I'd love the story to be everyone realized Mike was right all along, and they voted out Dar, and then I don't know what would happen to Elle. Somehow she would stumble and make a mistake and get voted out. But I don't see it happening. I mean, like, I'm gonna put this as respectfully as possible. The most of the faithfuls left, I don't think, are being very logical, which is fair. This is a game of paranoia and distrust. But like, I brought forth hard evidence, and it wasn't enough. So like, what is anybody gonna do? Maybe if Dar L give off bad vibes, one of them will be cooked. But like, I would like to be wrong. I have no faith that they'll be able to win. I think it's a Traitors win. I do, and I think they're both going to make the end.
Well, any final thoughts you want to talk about that we didn't cover?
I think we hit most of the big points and things that I really wanted to talk about. I will say though, I mean, I was kind of getting there with these faithful, but I think that there's faithful wins even in this situation. Like if Dot was still in the game, like let's say they murdered Raven instead, I think Dot could win from this point out, but like he's gone. So I don't think they can do it.
You don't think there's one person thinking logically right now?
I think Anthony could, but he's like so on the wrong track. He was on the wrong track with me and he changed his mind though. If anyone can do this, no disrespect to the rest of them, it would be Anthony. He has Lori like solidly in his court. Like I mean like it's possible. Other than the Traitors self destroying because of this vote, I think he's the only one that I could personally see having the agency to do it. It's not a question of intelligence necessarily. It's a question of like having the agency to pull something off that like I couldn't do it.
Well, Mike, as always, it's always fun to watch you play.
It's always fun to play.
I'm sorry that every time you're in a game, it's hard to get people to trust you for an alliance, hard to get people to listen to you, but
it's so on brand for me. I wouldn't have it be any other way. Like someone said it earlier in the season. I think it was Elle. She said something to the effect of like he doesn't trust people. And like that's not even true. She said something like that. Like I think she said he doesn't trust people. What?
I think it's more so people don't trust you.
That's fair.
All right, Mike. Well, I will. I'll be hitting you up. Maybe we could get you on the podcast next week.
Yeah, maybe. Let me know.
All right, we'll do so.
I don't know if the faithful left in the game will appreciate it, but hey, I'll start new beefs. I'll say something that'll be brought up to get me voted out in a later game.
Well, you have people with you after tonight's podcast that might.
I would think.
All right. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.